Nebraska Preps Postgame with Damon Benning and Jacob Padilla.
Welcome to the Nebraska Preps Postgame. No real, outside of the girls, I think Westside's early win as a 13 was a bit of an upset, but kind of holding court 1 through 8 with on the boys' side, especially in Class A.
Yeah, and you always like having kind of those underdog stories, but the flip side of that is when the seedings hold, you're going to get some really good matchups with some really talented teams. And I think we're going to, at least a few of these could be pretty interesting for sure.
One of the early ones, it's the 8 versus the 2, which is Millard West and Bellevue West.
7-2.
7-2,
Yep.
I'm sorry. Is interesting because Millard West has found a way with their style, right? Obviously led by Evan Myersick and company, to really slow games down. They have kind of found a way to muck it up, ugly it up. I kind of thought prep was maybe an aberration, but it's kind of maybe be how they play it.
And I think that there's a little bit of both there. I definitely think Millard West did a great job of making things tough on prep in that game. But on the other side, prep also missed a lot of good shots. They just could not throw it in the ocean for whatever reason. So I don't think necessarily Millard West is going to be able to count on holding Bellevue West to 42 points. So they're going to have to get their offense going.
You watched that Millard South game the other day, and it's like it almost set basketball back, but that's kind of how they have forced teams to play. They guard you. They make it hard on you. You have to work. And Myersick is they're probably the surprise team, I believe, of the 1 through 7s left.
Yeah, and they've got some good athleticism. They got obviously Myersick in the middle. You got James Conway, the football kid that just is everywhere on the court. He's a tough guy.
Football player.
Yeah, he's a great kind of glue guy on the basketball court. You got the way he rebounds, kind of as an undersized forward, can defend a little bit. And then you got Dominic Humm, who's made a big leap this year from where he was a year ago, kind of running the show.
Early on is a candidate for most improved players, I would say, right? And
he's a guy that I've always kind of been waiting to see that breakout happen because he's always had the tools, and now he's kind of being a little bit more consistent with it. So good to see. And then Ryan Larson, kind of his sharpshooter on the wing, if he gets going, they'll have a chance to score a little bit if he can knock down 3, 4, 5 threes in that game.
Now, arguably, in my opinion, even more so than Millard North, the hardest team to control tempo against, because I think they have the best decision maker at point guard, and he's such a change of pace guy because he's a good two-way guy. We're talking about Chucky Hepburn. Yeah. He guards you and speeds you up defensively and then can turn around and pull the string on offense.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, for one, he can play the pick-6 game all day long. Like, he's so good at picking a ball handler's pocket at half court and taking it the other way. And then also, if he gets a board, you better get back because he's going to have Frank. He's going to have these guys out running, and he'll make that dime pass every single time up the court. And if it's not there, he'll push it up himself and make you guard him and then hopefully draw another guy and get somebody going. So Bellevue West can certainly play a lot of different ways. They're going to catch you if your transition defense is not on point. So you got to be ready for that from the opening tip.
Yeah, and then, of course, we talked about a couple weeks ago, guys like Fiddler who are enjoying a very nice start to the seasons, going for 19 a night. Chucky's right there at 17, shooting it much better. You talked about it a week ago. Up to that point, he was 7 of 11 from behind the arc at the time. And just a really difficult team to gauge tempo. We saw they sped Millard North up a year ago in the state finals and forced them into some uncharacteristic turnovers, and then they convert on the other end. It's very, very hard when you have the high basketball IQ and the talent at the point. That one for me, when you look at it like the contrasting styles, we know it's a shot makers league, but the way that game is played, perhaps more than any of the other three, will kind of let you know what's going to be indicative, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, no doubt. And so that's the 2-7 there. The 1-8 is a rematch from a game that just happened not too recently, and I watched a lot of that on the stream. Padilla and La Vista put up a great fight in that game.
They played well for 3 quarters of that game.
Yep.
Right? 3 out of 4 quarters, you felt like, whoa, this is interesting.
Yeah, you had guys, Chase led, Aiden Graham hitting shots. That's how you're going to have to stay in a game with Millard North. You're going to have to shoot the ball well. and they're capable of it. I went and watched them their first game against Gretna last week, and came out banged threes in against that zone. First 3 possessions, stretch you out, then got 3 layups on the next 3 possessions. Kyle Ingerson went 6 for 8 from 3 in that game.
Yeah, fantastic player. But you know what? Papio is almost better, in my opinion, when they don't force feed getting him going.
Yeah.
He's going to get his. Let the pieces fill in around without trying to force feed him. They have some options. He's a great player, though. Tough matchup, too, at 6'5".
Yeah, and Aiden, we talked about Dominic Hum making a leap. Aiden Graham's made a big leap as well. And he's leading him in scoring right now, about 15 a game, and he's doing it pretty efficiently. He's kind of shot up over the last year. He's a lot taller than he used to be.
Stretched out quite a bit.
Can kind of get in the passing lanes, get out on the break, can shoot over the top of defenders. So that they're going to be tough. Like we'll see. It's so tough to hang with Millard North for 40 minutes or 32 minutes, though.
I call it spurtability. Boy, I've seen it over and over and over again. I watched them do it to Westside. I watched them do it to Kearney.
Lincoln East, same thing.
It's all of a sudden it's like, okay, we're ready now. Yeah. And they turn you over. They get you playing their style. And I think teams, if I was given a pregame talk, my number one thing would be don't panic. Stay within yourself, because they force you to do things that you ordinarily wouldn't do because you feel like you have to keep up. Kind of like the Kansas City Chiefs impact, where offensively you think, oh gosh, we can't settle for 3. So then all of a sudden you find yourself doing things that you ordinarily wouldn't do instead of getting points, and then all of a sudden you're down 2 scores. I've seen 21-1 runs. I've seen 27-4 runs. I've seen them go on some crazy runs because teams get outside of what I think they're capable of doing.
Yep. And then we got the 3-6, your Omaha Westside Warriors taking on my Creighton Prep Junior Jays. So that'll be an interesting one. Again, we saw kind of the way that Millard West was able to ugly up that game against Prep and kind of force them into some tougher shots, and guys weren't hitting. Westside's going to have all 5 guys kind of doing it. And because, with the Prep starts big with that kind of twin tower look with
Rollins
and
Jungers.
AJ Rollins. And Jungers has been kind of the lead guy for them this year. He has made that jump. He's always the guy that he had the tools last year. He kind of had a few games here and there where he was that guy. But this year he's been pretty consistent as a guy who can score inside and step out and knock down shots. Rollins hasn't necessarily been a huge part of it so far, production-wise at least, averaging about 6 a game. But he's a guy that if you don't double in the post, you single him up with a smaller guy, he's going to take advantage of that. So it'll be really interesting to see the way that Westside decides to defend Prep's attack.
It's one of those backcourts, too, at Omaha Creighton Prep that I think is really, really athletic. And they may kind of surprise you, because if you're thinking of the Buckleys and Cities from a year ago, they're different players. And with Westside, when they go small and they like to be athletic, usually they can win a lot of those matchups if it's just all about the backcourt. It'd be interesting to see, because Prep will guard you.
Yeah,
I think they're still giving up less than 40 points a game, which that's pretty good.
Yeah, you toss in Majay Wiley on the wing there, and those 3 guys in the backcourt, Buckley, City, and Wiley, can all really get after you defensively. They got some length at all 3 spots, so they're a team that can really make things tough on you because of that. And then they've got the kind of the back line rim protection a little bit with the bigger guys inside. It'll be really interesting to see what Tate Oddvuddy can do, kind of that matchup.
Yeah, in my opinion, he needs a coming out party against a quality opponent, right? Just if nothing else for his own sake, right? He's been a little feast or famine. I would really like to see him do it on a stage in a real meaningful moment, because he's capable. And
he's going to have one of those bigger guys on him most likely. So can he step out, kind of draw them away from the rim, and then maybe take advantage of that with a bigger guy on him? That's what he's going to have to do all year long with that small ball Westside lineup. And this is one of the better teams he'll see and get a chance to do that.
Yeah, the key outside of the obvious size and length, if Westside takes care of the ball, they just need good shots. Their first 2 players off the bench are guards. They're younger. They don't turn it over. And so if they take good care of the basketball and they make some shots, that one could get interesting in a hurry, because Westside will be a tough matchup for Rollins and and Jungers, I think, as they kind of get them out.
And that making shots thing, that's kind of the key at this point. Yeah, West Side, for whatever reason, Payson Gillespie is really the only guy that's consistently shot the ball well. They haven't been able to get their three big guys, which Reggie Thomas, Chandler Meeks, and Tate Oddbody, all going at the same time. It seems like every game one of them is playing well, and the other two are struggling.
Yep.
So they're going to have to get more of those guys playing well together at the same time if you're going to hope to keep up with a team like Prep. Because 1 through 7, they're going to have guys contributing.
Yeah, it's interesting. Chandler's been in foul trouble a lot this year. His minutes have
and that's always been a thing
reduced.
with him. Yeah.
So foul trouble has been an issue, and I think with Reggie finishing at the rim, right, he can get to the 10 at will. It's making those tough shots. Use my left hand when they're contested and knowing when to kick out to open shooters. Right, that's the next stage in the growth of his game.
And I saw a little bit of some growth in that from him this summer playing with OSA. They had him running the point all summer long, and I was impressed with some of the strides I thought he made in that area. I think he's still trying to kind of figure it out with this West Side group. And
which teammates to trust, and that's
scouting report
that's
and all
part
those
of
kind of things. So now he's that guy versus last year Chandler and Reggie were 4 and 5. On the scouting report a lot of time, 3, 4, whatever it is. Now you guys are 1 and 2.
They have all the games that I think could be affected by the crowd situation. That one would be the one because the Birdcage is a tough place to play. Two teams that don't like each other very much. There's no love lost there. That environment, now that you have home sites, could have been something spectacular had the pandemic cooperated.
Unfortunately, now with the size of the Hyder Center, even the people that are allowed in the gym, it's gonna feel like even less than normal. But
hey, how's it going down there?
Yeah, that is pretty cool that we ended up with that kind of a rivalry matchup in these quarterfinals. So.
Yeah, and then last but not least, and they've seen each other before, and just 10 days ago?
Yeah.
As Papio South, Papillion South, La Vista South, if you want to be super politically correct, takes on Omaha Central. And a game that was back and forth the whole way the last time. And Central hangs on, gets the 1-point lead over Papio La Vista South after a late run.
Yeah, and curious, so who do you think we're going to learn more from in this game as kind of a rematch so quick again? It was such a close game last time. Who do you think we're going to learn more about? Obviously, Central is a higher seed here. They won the first time. If they win again, that's kind of what's supposed to happen. But Papio South is right in there too. And Denair Dempsey had a big game in that first one.
Yeah. Do you think Papio La Vista South can shoot the ball like that again?
They had 13 of 25 is what they shot in their last one. 52%.
That's a lot. Brokel and those guys, they can shoot it.
Yeah.
I just don't know. Like, that's a torrid clip.
Yeah, and Dempsey went 3 for 4, and 1 or 2 of those was off the dribble himself. Like
now, I'm not sure he's capable of repeatedly because he hasn't shown that yet, but he has the skill set.
Oh, yeah.
And he hasn't shown the consistency.
That's exactly right. And this summer, I saw him, I think it was River City's weekend or whatever. He took over, like, for that OSA Adidas team. Like, he was lights out from 3 that whole weekend and was one of the best players on the court.
That's what I thought. I thought athletically, almost every night out, it didn't matter who they played. I don't care who the opponent was, whether you're from Kansas. He looked like he was one of the best athletes on the floor. I mean, he's got good bounce, he's got good length, he's got an offensive arsenal that it's almost unmatched. His thing for him will be quality shot selection. Sometimes his degree of difficulty is a little on the difficult side.
And I think he's kind of learning. He's trying to step into that role of being the number 1 guy, whereas last year he was kind of the 1B to Matley's 1A, and Matley did all the ball handling and create a lot of shots for him. Now he doesn't necessarily have that kind of pick-and-roll partner that can get him easy looks, so he kind of feels the pressure, all right, I got to go create here when things aren't happening, because they don't have a lot of shot creation. They've got a lot of good shooters. They don't necessarily have a lot of guys
Coach
that are going to put the ball.
does a good job offensively, and they share it.
Yeah.
And he's no nonsense.
Yeah.
He's a fantastic coach, and he's not to be outdone by Coach Barons on the other sideline. With Dawson off to, I wouldn't call it a surprise. His consistency has been nice. As he's going for just over 15 a night to go along with who we already knew was going to be a really, really good player for them, and Denham Johnson going for about 16 tonight.
Yeah, and he's their most consistent shooter, best shooter on the team at this point. And that's a guy that Papio South is going to have to mark for sure. They're going to have to leave somebody out there and they've got to do a better job of limiting Central's shots inside from 12 feet and in. And that's where Dempsey's going to have to really kind of show himself. He's got to block some shots in there. You can't let Denham go for 20. Can't let Faye Germany go for 17 again. And a lot of those are kind of like points in the paint, short little mid-range jumpers into shots at the rim. So that's where I think even more so than hitting threes, that's where Dempsey really has to kind of step up and limit Central's ability. Because if you're taking a three-point shooting contest, I like Papio South shooters overall better than Central's at this point.
Especially consistency.
Yeah, so if they can limit Central's points in the paint, I like their chances to hang with us, maybe get this upset here. But it's going to have to start with Dempsey defensively at the rim.
How do you kind of see as we switch a little bit and talk a little bit about the hack? A few schedule changes, obviously. Again, as teams are trying to move up their start times and beat the weather. Kind of how do you see that shaking out as we kind of cap the matchups?
Yeah, and as we kind of look on this on Monday, they're going through kind of their playing round today. Actually. I don't think I'd expect really many upsets out of that first round, although I don't believe Carter Glenn is playing for Lincoln East.
Yeah.
So Norfolk, if a guy like Colin Herman
just had a hard time battling a variety of ailments. He just, for as good an athlete as he is, he just can't catch a break.
Yeah. So hopefully he'll be back soon. But Norfolk, if Colin Herman gets hot, he's a kid that I've seen kind of go off for 20, 30 points. He can really light it up. So maybe that's
watched him against Westside, and he scored them in bunches, and is not real gun shy either.
Yeah.
And not afraid to take big shots.
But kind of looking ahead to what we're seeing here for the next round on Tuesday, could be some interesting matchups there. I think Kearney against Lincoln North Star, if Kearney kind of takes care of business against Fremont, that could be really interesting. We know North Star has Quad Abdel Kareem. Brennan Clemens Jr. is off to a great start. Josh Brown's been solid. I think they're still kind of looking for production beyond those guys.
Yeah, can they play more than 5?
Yeah, and Kearney, they're going to be tough. They're not going to go down without a fight. Jack Johnson's playing really well now.
One of my favorites.
Yeah. Easton Bruce at the point guard spot. Little guy, but he can really shoot the ball.
And he takes care of it, too.
Yeah. So they've got some pieces for sure. I don't think they have a ton of depth either. They're still trying to figure some things out. But, Drake Bronick is going to have those guys ready to play in this game if that's kind of the matchup we get. And then Lincoln Northeast against Lincoln Southeast. That could be really interesting to kind of matchup of Pierce Basil against Ashante
Lincoln
Hogan.
Southeast are we getting?
Yeah.
They've kind of been a little Jekyll and Hyde, but it's early in the season for them because they got off to such a late start.
Yeah, and they gave away that first game against Southwest, kind of made some bad decisions down the stretch, kind of lost their cool a little bit in what was otherwise a close game. And then
they
bounced,
defend.
Yeah, and then they bounced back and really handed to Westside in their own gym. So, like you said, kind of a Jekyll Hyde there. They've got talent. Ashante Hogan, Jake Applegate. Like, they've got some guys that can play. Derek Branch defensively, kind of in the backcourt, giving a little bit. McGinnis Schneider. So they've got some pieces. That'll be really interesting because Northeast, Pierce Basil is off to a great start, kind of scoring himself, making plays for others. Hasn't shot it as well as he's capable of, but I expect that to come around. And Connor Renard, big guy in the middle.
Big guy.
He can finish. He can finish and rebound the ball. So that's kind of a nice 1-2 punch for them.
He worked out. How do you feel, before we get off of Southeast just here for a second, Applegate may go down as one of the guys whose high school career, he's had a good career in multiple sports, is probably a better player than his stats in either sport will show, in my opinion. I think he's pretty overlooked.
Yeah, and I think, so last year he shot the ball really well from 3. For whatever reason, he's a great athlete, big, strong kid. He just didn't finish well. Yeah. He didn't finish well inside the arc, and I think that kind of kept his numbers down a little bit. This year, he hasn't shot it great yet, but he's finishing much better. And at that frame, at that size,
he is a handful.
Yeah. And I've watching him play some summer ball as well, and kind of like when he's out there playing against kids his own age, it's just like not even fair. He's throwing down alley-oops, dunking on kids' heads. He's kind of running the point and getting his teammates shots too, so he can pass as well. So yeah, he's a guy that I would expect kind of next year to be a huge breakout guy. With the DeJounte Hogan moving on, football, obviously, I think he's kind of on that trajectory to be a real star and have a chance to earn some big-time offers next season. But for basketball-wise, too, I think if he can kind of continue to progress and kind of figure out within that Southeast system how to play kind of at the varsity level a little bit more consistently, he's going to be a guy that's going to be fun to watch here.
Really impressed with how they guarded. You could tell they were not happy about the loss that they took to Southwest the night before, and it manifested itself in a tail kicking.
And that's a good job. New coaching staff kind of bouncing back from that disappointment to
bench was in it. I felt like the staff was very, very good. They made a couple of adjustments early in terms of how they wanted to defend the handoff game and defend with their ball screens. They were hedging really, really hard, pushed Westside's offense way out behind the arc with those hard hedges, and when they smelled a little bit of blood in the water without the ability to either pick and pop or pick and roll and get other things easy off those actions, they sat in it all night and really did a good job defending.
Yep. And in the last matchup is Southwest taking on the winner of Lincoln High and Grand Island. And obviously we know Isaac Trout for Grand Island. They're still trying to figure out everybody around him, and they're coming off kind of the layoff here because of they had a COVID shutdown out there. So to see kind of if they were able to get that done. Lincoln High, they're still, I think, trying to learn some things. They got some athletes. They got some size. So either way, whoever kind of comes out of that game, I think Southwest, they just got so much depth at this point. They got 1 through 5 guys can kind of make an impact. You need, I think, a little bit more consistency out of your guard play, and Ryland Smith doing a lot of good things, turning the ball over a little bit too much. Obviously, we know Jared Bohr can shoot the ball, and then Ben Hunziker is kind of one of those do-it-all guys, great athlete, long.
Not to overstate it, but a little bit of the glue, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he's kind of the guy that does a little bit of the dirty work, and that's a well-coached team. If Southwest turns out to be a team that makes any sort of run in 2020, look out for next year, because next year, on paper, was scheduled to be the year. If Coach Ball has them a year ahead of schedule, look out. Yeah,
I think 3 or 4 of their starters are all juniors, so they're going to be back. They're only going to be losing 1 or 2 guys that play key roles on that team. So, and they've got some younger guys that are, again, Smith is just a sophomore, still kind of figuring it out at the varsity level.
Yes, he is. And learning to handle the ball that much. I mean, in the summer he plays with smaller guards. He plays with Milliken and those guys, and Josiah Dolzer, where he doesn't handle the ball as much. It's a little bit different role for him for his high school team.
Yeah, but you got Bohr, you got Smith, you got Hunziker can kind of handle the ball a little bit and create off the bounce with his athleticism. So you got multiple guys that can attack. So like you said, that's a team that's going to keep getting better. And with that coaching staff, Alex Baugh is going to have those guys ready to go every game.
It's funny. I was talking to him in the summer after watching them in Summer League, and he said that Ryland may be his best natural leader that he's coached.
That's pretty high praise.
Let's think about that for a second.
Yeah, he coached some pretty good players up here at Elkhorn South.
Yes, he did. Yes, indeed. That's the legend. We'll be back next week. We'll see what Mother Nature does, how she kind of plays it. We'd like to stay with our same time, but hey, if the game times change, we'll adjust to it. It won't still be 2020, but we'll adjust like we did when it was 2020. That's Jacob Padilla. I'm Damon Benning. This is Nebraska Preps Postgame. We'll be back next week.
A Hurrdat Media Production.